Okay, people, welcome back to another video, and we'll just continue where we left off uh, from the history of man, and it was Caphtorum, number 34. A great deal of quite needless confusion has reigned over the recent question of Caphtorum's provenance. This is mainly due to modernist efforts to identify Caphtor as Crete. This would allow the assertion that the Philistines, c. 33, were the sea peoples of the 13th century BC, and that the Genesis record therefore errs when it speaks of the Philistines as the 19th century BC contemporaries of Abraham. The Genesis record, however, gives the common sense and verifiable place of the Caphtorum's origin as Egypt, that is, the Mizraim, c. 26. Genesis tells us that the Caphtorum were descended from the Mizraim, and through the absence of any qualifying remarks, leaves us with a strong implication that the Caphtorum therefore dwelt on the mainland Egypt and North Africa, either amongst or in close proximity to their forebears. The Mizraim, only the descendants of Japheth, c. 1, said to have occupied the isles of the sea, for example, Cyprus or Crete et al., whereas this qualification is entirely absent with either the Semitic or Hamitic races. The early Cretans, we know, were not a Hamitic people, but were rather Indo-European in race, language and culture, which confirms their descent from Japheth, not Ham, as provided in the Genesis account. Furthermore, Josephus relates the involvement and subsequent defeat of the Caphtorum in the Ethiopic War, a conflagration that was confined to the borders of Egypt and Ethiopia, and which did not, as far as we know, involve the Isles of the Sea. Moreover, Jeremiah 47:4 described the Philistines as the remnant of the country of Caphtor, thus implying that by his own day the Caphtorum were a depleted nation. There is also strong evidence of a direct etymological link between the Caphtor of the Old Testament and the Aegyptus of Greek literature. Aegyptus being merely the archaic form of the Western name for Egypt. Have a wee look at this map, guys. So, Heth at the top, Hamathite, Arvadite, Zemarite, Arkanite, Sinite, Hivite. So the block capital letters are Shem, and the lowercase ones are Ham. You can see that's the Levant area. The Caphtor's descendants were mainland dwellers, is also confirmed in the Assyrian inscriptions in which they are named as the Kaptara, and in the Ugaritic inscriptions as the Kaptar. Later Egyptian records speak of the Kiftu or Kaftur, a term that was used in relation to Phoenicia, not Crete. Intriguingly, the Septuagint translates the name as or Caphtorum in Genesis 10:14, whereas in the book of Deuteronomy 2:23 they are recorded as Cappadoces or Cappadocians. Likewise, the Latin Vulgate gives the rendering Caphtorum in Genesis 10:14, thus following the original Hebrew, whereas in Deuteronomy 2:23 it follows the Greek Septuagint in the rendering Cappadoces to Cappadocia. Cappadocia, of course, referring to mainland Asia Minor. To identify the Caphtorum as early Cretans is therefore a clearly untenable position, and is due to the unquestioning, though wrongful, assumption amongst today's scholars that the Table of Nations is not to be taken seriously as a historical, reliable account. See Map 3. Number 35, Put. The country in which the descendants of Put settled is well known to us from Egyptian records, which render the name as Put or Punt. It is always spoken of as closely associated with Egypt, and its close proximity to that nation is confirmed by an inscription from the archives of Darius I the Great, king of Persia from 522 to 486 BC. Here, the land of Putta is shown lying in the proximity of Cyrenaica, and that is on the North African coast to the west of Egypt. The same land was also known as Putta to the Babylonians and as Patiya in the old Persian inscriptions. See map 3. Number 36, Canaan. Posterity of Canaan settled in a land that was later to be given to Israel. At the time of the Israelite conquest, the population of Canaan consisted of all the tribes descended from him. See 37 to 47. Both Sanchuniathon and Philo of Byblos confirm the fact that the Canaanites derived their name from their founder. The Greeks and Phoenicians knew the name as Knaan. The Egyptians, this is Shem's family line. 48, Shem, Elam, Assur, Aphaxad, Lud, Aram, Shelah, Eber, Peleg, Joktan, Uz, Hul, Gether, Meshech. And you see there's Lot, number 80, which they reckon there was a king Lot here in Scotland and the Lothians in my area. The Lothians, that's where they reckon they got the name Lot from, because they're not sure where Lothian, the name Lothian came from. The Egyptians knew it as Knu, as the Herarians described certain dyed cloths as Canaan or Canaanite cloth. In spite of their Hamitic descent, however, the Canaanites spoke a Semitic language. See figure 6, see map 4. Number 37 is Zidon. He settled with his descendants on the Mediterranean coast of Canaan, where his name is still preserved today in the city of Sidon. Originally known as Sidonians, his posterity were later called Phoenicians. They are known to us from various inscriptions of the Old World. See map 4. Number 38, Heth. Heth was a progenitor of the Hittite nation, whose name was known to the Assyrians as the Kati. The Hittites were apparently the first nation to smelt iron. The Amarna tablet contains letters that were sent from the Hittite emperor Subaliuma to the pharaoh Amenhotep IV. Ramesses II also tells us how he engaged the Hittites in what was the earliest recorded battle involving mass chariots. This was the famous Battle of Kadesh, and it appears that the Hittites got the better of the Egyptian forces. Heth's name was perpetuated in the Hittite capital Hattushash, that is modern Bakırköy in Turkey. See figure 7, see map 4. Number 39, Jebusite. The posterity of Jebus settled in the mountainous regions of Judah, where, due to their strong and natural fortifications, they were able to withstand the armies of Israel. The original city of Jebus came later to be known as Jerusalem. The Uruslimu of the Amarna tablets. See map 4. Number 40. Amorites. Known as the Sumerians as the Martu and to the Akkadians as the Amuru, this people settled in the land of Canaan. They appear to have initially adopted a nomadic way of life, although they were soon to organize themselves into a very powerful and aggressive nation. The Amorites, indeed, were to conquer Babylonia, subsequently producing one of the most famous kings in the ancient world, Hammurabi, whose own name contains the designation Amuru. See map 4. 41. Girgashite. The name of this people has been discovered in the Ugaritic inscriptions of Girgs and Bin Girgs, that is, Girgash and the sons of the children of Girgash. They are also known to us in the Hittite documents as a Kirkisa and in Egyptian records as a Kirkash. They settled to the east of the river Jordan between Galilee and the Dead Sea. See map 4. 42. Hivite. Known to the ancient Greeks as the Hueos, this people moved to the foothills of Lebanon during the Israelite conquest of Canaan. Solomon was later to use Hivites as builders. See map 4. 43. Archite. This people come to our notice in the inscriptions of Shalmaneser II and Tiglath-Pileser III, both kings of Assyria, and both of whom described the Archites as rebellious. The Archites were also known to the Egyptians and are mentioned in the Amarna tablets as the Irkata. Their city is known today as Tel Arka, a place that Thutmose III of Egypt refers to as Arkinatu. The city was later known to the Romans as Caesarea Labani. See page 4. 44. Sinite. The name of this people is still to be found today in the cities of Na Asin and Sin Adarb, which are both in close proximity to Arka, c. 43. The Phoenicians, c. 37, knew the Sinites as the Uznu. The Assyrians called them the Usana and Sianu, and the Ugaritic tablets referred to them as the Sn. See map 4. 45. Arvadite. This people settled in the island that bore their founder's name, Arvad. Today it is known as Ruad and lies north of the Bay of Tripoli, about 2 miles out to sea. The Arvadites were famed in the Old World for their skillful seamanship, drawing from this even the grudging admiration of the Assyrians. Later, the island of Arvad was to play a crucial role in controlling certain areas of the mainland during the conquests of Alexander the Great. The Arvadites were also known to the Amarna tablets as Arwada. See map 4. 46. Zemarite. Posterity of Zemar were known to the Assyrians as the Semara and to the Egyptians as the Sumur. The name is still preserved in modern city of Sumra, just north of Tripoli. See map 4. Number 47. Hamathite. The city where this people settled lay on Orontes and was named after their forebear Hamath. Sargon II of Assyria tells us how he conquered the city, and it was Hamath that Nebuchadnezzar defeated the Egyptian armies in 605 BC. The Greek and Romans subsequently knew the city as Epiphania, although today it is reverted to its ancient name Hama. In 853 BC, the men of Hamath were able to successfully check Assyrian ambitions in the west by mobilizing an army of no less than 63,000 foot, 2,000 light horse, 4,000 battle chariots, and 1,000 camels. See map 4. So, guys, that was Ham. In part 3, which will be part 5, my videos, will be Shem. We'll quickly just look at these maps and illustrations. So this is a lineage of Shem, the father of all the Semitic races. So Shem at the top there, guys. I'll just slowly scroll down. So we've got Eber, Meshech, Ul, Uz. Like I said, you can pause it and have a wee look. Lot, Moab, Benami, Abram, Ishmael, Isaac, Zimran, Joshkin, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, Shua, Sheba, Dedan. And here we have Hittite charioteer after a bas relief at Malatya. Before the turn of this present century and the uncovering of the Hittite ruins, it was of course known for a certainty with modernist academic circles that the Hittites had never existed. They did. And chariots are interesting too. If you look at the development of chariots and where the wheel was sat, either underneath the driver or behind them, and I think it was like a move forward in technology when they moved the wheel, the axle forward. Anyway, have a quick look at the map again. So we've got Kedemah, Moab, Jebusite. This is like the modern day. This is Israel. Right, guys. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next part for Shem.